What's going on, YouTube and podcast listeners? Welcome back to Whiskey and Dragons, where we drink whiskey and
we talk dragons.
I'm Targaryen Barbarian. God, dude, I can't even get my own intro right. I'm Targaryen the Barbarian, alongside my trusty co-host over here,
Steve the...
See, now you can't even hear us.
You jinxed me. Steve the Practical Wizard.
That's correct.
There you go.
Mr. Wizardry over here. So welcome back, everyone. So today's episode, we're going to dive into season 2 and things we like or dislike. Yep. And speaking of well, I don't know yet. Let's what do we drink? Today's whiskey of choice is Brothers Bond. Okay. And you know what? To be honest, it's my first time having it.
Same.
It's the love child of Damon from the Vampire Diaries. Yeah. Damon Salvatore and
his brother Stefan Salvatore.
Okay, there I was like, damn. He was like the main character, but not important because I tend to like the evil dudes. Or good guys, depending on how you look at it. That's why I'm Team Targaryen over here. So let me go ahead and give this thing a whirl. Actually, it's not that bad.
That's great.
Good stuff. I think it's a little more younger. Mm-hmm. Still smooth though.
Clean on the palate. We're getting a little fancy here, using bigger words.
But you know what though? Doesn't really have a bite to it.
No.
I would actually not a shooting whiskey. I mean, like typically, anyways, when I shoot whiskey, mm-hmm. I just go Jameson. One, it's not too expensive. Like I would never shoot a good whiskey.
Okay.
Not saying that Jameson isn't good. It has its purpose.
Yeah.
Like I like Jameson in my Irish coffee. Mm-hmm. I feel like in Vegas, that's my go-to in the morning, 9 a.m. Started off with an Irish coffee, but today we are going to talk about season 2.
Yes, for sure.
Okay, so you know what? I think you came really prepared today.
I did. For season 2.
Yes, you have a lot to talk about.
I'm
gonna let the wizard over here take the honors. I'm hoping that with everything you have, you kind of re-spark my memory.
For sure. So, if you watched episode 1, which we know you did, you'll know that I didn't rewatch season 1 because I didn't want that history lesson. So I started as a little bit. Yeah, not going to lie, a little lazy. But I did start with season 2, which was a pretty cool jumping off point a couple years after the show concluded or the series concluded to get back on it.
By the way, he came so prepared, dude. Look,
I got a note. Hold it up if you want. Look at Don't read the handwriting because it's trash.
You couldn't read it anyways. He sent me a picture because I was like, hey, dude, how much notes did you get? And then he's like, oh, I can send you a picture. He sent me a picture. I zoomed in, and I felt like I was a 90-year-old without glasses.
I write terribly.
But yes, he's got plenty of notes to talk about. So let's go ahead. Get in. Sorry for the interruption.
No.
I just had to point this out. So if you see him looking down, it's because he's reading a novel.
Yeah, I'm not playing on my phone. I'm reading my novel here of notes. So
what are you trying to rat me out, dude? Like, think I'm playing solitaire over here?
Maybe, we don't know. So season 2, a big moment. Is obviously season 1 ends with Dany getting her dragons, like the real, she's fireproof, cool, great. The big moment in season 2, like the first giant one, is when she goes to Karth.
I think it's Karth.
It's spelled with the Q.
Quack.
I want to say Quath, but it's not.
Karth. You know what that reminds me? Okay, I do. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, so, now I'm kind of refreshing my brain here, even though I just watched it.
Yeah, so they're on this, Jorah, and the whole like remaining tribe of
the Dothraki.
The Dothraki, there you go. I was gonna say Carl.
See, I try.
Drogo's
you know,
men.
Like I try to remember all the names. Yeah. It's, by the way, it's super hard.
It's complicated.
A lot of them have like weird names. Not that they're not cool, but they're definitely weird.
They're very weird. So they're on this like journey through the desert. We see this meteor in the sky, this red thing that's plummeting to Earth.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, I'm trying to think now.
That's kind of a not.
Wait, is that when she walks into the fire? Wait, are you saying when the dragons are born?
I'm talking about after the dragons are born, season 2. We made it to season 2 now. They're on this journey. Her, the dragons, Jorah, and then the tribe of Dothraki. They're in the middle of nowhere. They're dying. They got no water, no food.
Yeah.
But she's looking up at the sky almost constantly, and they're following this meteor. And it's an interesting moment because you're like, that is leading to something, I think. But, spoiler alert, we never really touch on it ever
I was
again.
going to say, that's probably why it doesn't stand out to me either, because I don't think they mention anything about that.
Don't. It's one of those things where it's like you see it and you put it like in your backpack of knowledge for later. And at some point you're like, when can I reach in the backpack and get it back out again? Because it's going to connect and make sense. And it just never comes back.
So we would call that useless story writing?
Well, I'm curious for those who have read the book.
Take you down a lane and there's a wall.
For those who have read the book series, like, I want to know, please drop a comment. Tell us. Is there
any point to the meteor?
Is there a point to it? Is it in like the books?
Basically, he doesn't even care about the show. He just wants to know.
I want to know
where is the. He's a. What do you call those? Like, you know how, like, what is it? Paleontologist for dinosaurs, right? What do you call the astrologist
for stars? Yeah.
But meteor?
Astronomy. Astrology,
meteorology.
That's weather. But I want to know.
First of all, I say these words. I do not claim to be smart by any means.
You're smart. You're very smart.
I'm street smart, all right. I'm like Bronx tail smart. Okay, this guy's the wizard over here. I call him the wizard because he actually has a degree in creative writing, and he actually knows like what do they call it? Like hero's journey, like how you write the start. I don't know any of that. But anyways, continue. Go ahead.
So I mean, they're following this like red meteor, which again we don't know what that is. There's a couple like an idea I have about it is it bringing about the end of the world, the end of Westeros? Maybe. Is it signifying something deeper, like the red witch and like whatever she's up to, or bringing about like the end of the world or whatever? We're not sure. Like I was always curious as to what that whole red meteor represented, and I never got the answer, which is it is what it is.
I'm gonna be, and those of you who listen to Joe Rogan, young Jamie, we don't have a young Jamie. We're still growing, all right. we would like to have a young Jamie. I'm a young Jamie right now because I think you just said an important thing.
So like for me, like a really big moment, or when season 2 really kicks off for me is when they get to Karth. And we find out it's a slave city. Dany's pissed off about that for good reasons. She's on her whole conquest. This is my gripe with Dany, and you're gonna disagree with me on this. My biggest gripe with Dany is her like sense of entitlement. Because this is
I mean, her brother had an entitlement. Like
they both did.
Like born on the Iron Throne.
Yeah, and to me, this is where it kicked off at the end of season 1 when she burnt up the witch doctor.
By the way, a young Jamie did it right now.
Yeah.
Melisandre, or I think is how you say it.
Melisandre. Yeah.
Yeah, and you also mentioned talking about the Stannis, which she believed he would be the. Azor Aha, which is like the Lord of Lights, like it's a prophecy about a champion.
Okay.
Reborn to wake dragons from stone and reforge the great sword of the Lightbringer that defeated the darkness. Which, I mean, there's no surprise here. It starts with the White Walkers.
Yeah.
The White Walkers are the darkness.
Okay.
And there's more into the story of the White Walkers later on, which we'll dive into when we get there. But I think that's what the whole Lord of Light is. So she believes Stannis is that person.
Is that
okay?
That main dude. So like we get in season 2, a couple episodes in, episode 4, episode 5, we get to Dany's whole like.
She has entitlement. You think she has
the tip of her
entitlement.
bullshit of, I want the 7 kingdoms. The 7 kingdoms are mine. It really comes into effect when they get to Karth, and it's like, why? Why are they yours? Because of your namesake? But you're nobody.
Whatever
you're like a
Dany wants, whatever Dany wants, she gets. Okay.
So they got this whole thing, and like we build upon that later. Obviously, we get further on in the series. A couple other big moments are you get to see more of Jorah. You get to see more of like his crush that he's got on her.
Yeah, but another character. I love Ser Jorah
He's a
moment.
great character.
That's what I was thinking. Last episode we were talking about full circle story arcs.
Mm-hmm.
Ser Jorah, in my opinion, has one. I know there's a lot of people who like are super into like the GOT lore who don't think he had. I've read some things and I've watched some YouTube videos that say that Ser Jorah Mormont, like, and apparently he wasn't happy with his ending. Sure, I'd love him to be in it to the end, but I kind of was okay with this ending.
Yeah,
so I
his
think
story was like complete at that point.
Yeah. So I'll agree. Sure. He's another one that I thought that had a for at least the whole they butchered the 8th season. Don't say you just agreed with me. You didn't.
Yeah.
But
trying to move this conversation back to me. I'm trying to steal the spotlight.
Steal it, you can. So continue.
So we get some big moments in season 2. Outside of that, another big one is Theon going to the Iron Islands, getting like harassed and yelled at by his dad and bullied by his sister and his dad.
Oh, do you remember when he meets his sister?
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Bro, you have all this problem with incest, but yet you fly that Lannister banner. Yeah, he flies it. He's a sinner. He's a liar. He's a charlatan.
I'm flying it.
You must pay with your head.
So we get like him going to Winterfell and thinking he's like the badass bitch and like trying to take the throne over there in Winterfell, and he does. I mean, for the most part, they run amok.
Well, I mean, it's not like he really had like a hard time.
Yeah, he didn't have an army.
Everyone's fucking gone off fighting your flag's war over there.
That's true. So like we get all this. A big moment for me, like within that whole realm of Theon taking Winterfell, is when he beheads Sir Roderick.
Oh, dude!
It was hard to watch because it wasn't a clean like kill him and cut your damn head off.
I think that resembles though his character, like the fact that like
it's not easy for him to do anything really.
No, but it's not even that. It's just like it. Okay, like clean cut boy. I think he says to him like strike true, strike hard, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean like. I think that leads into his character because he was a hesitant character.
Yeah.
You know, like the fact that one, he didn't possess the strength to do it. Because his character didn't possess the strength.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like it's not about like physical strength, but he didn't possess he was unsure.
He wasn't convicted enough to do it, to go through with it.
Exactly. He didn't even feel that way about himself. He didn't feel like he was the king of Winterfell.
Yeah.
Because nothing he did there was with confidence.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I see that.
But yeah, good point. Go ahead.
So like along with that, I noted because we know what happens to Theon like in the end. We know like his character development after that, and it's like from season 1, he's kind of whatever. Like we talked.
He's not really an important.
He's like whatever.
He doesn't really stand.
And
we
kind of get to know him a little bit more, and then season 2 we really get to know him, and we kind of actually get to hate him a little bit because he kills Sir Roderick. Very brutal.
I would not want to go out like that.
Yeah, and then he kills Bronn and Bronn's brother. I can't remember their.
Wait.
Well, he doesn't kill them.
Not Bran.
Bran.
Okay, because I was like, Bronn is the which.
The sellsword for.
Which that's in season 2, right?
That isn't. Yeah, Bronn comes in season 2, and he's a great.
Another one. Dude, love that character. Sellsword.
A lot of stuff happens in season 2. So
I will sell my sword
with
to Daenerys.
With Theon, like we get him kind of running amok, and just like we start to dislike him. And what I remember from that moment of when he beheads Sir Roderick, it's kind of that moment of like, we don't like you anymore. Like you're on our bad side. We want to see you harmed. And then we're just going to flash.
You instantly go to wanting to hate him. Basically.
Yeah, you go to wanting to hate him, but it's kind of like,
guy.
It's kind of like, is the beheading representative of how brutal his life ends up becoming? Because he does redeem himself.
Talk about a hero's journey. I don't think he has a hero's journey. I think he has like
a villain's journey. Or?
No, I don't know, man. The poor guy, though. I mean, I hated him for most of the entire show.
There's a lot to hate about him, but there's also like some good redemptive qualities about him and some good empathetic qualities about him in season 3 when he gets to Ramsay and all that stuff. So that's kind of why I thought like when he beheaded Sir Roderick, it's like, is it kind of foreshadowing, building up to like, hey, let's hate him now, but let's feel bad for him just a little bit, because we're going to feel bad for him for a long while.
I have to say, I mean, I get where the storm was going and I get where the writers were trying to go, but I almost like the whole taking Winterfell and stuff like that. I didn't know what the point of that was. Okay. It was definitely made point later on.
Yeah.
As you get further down the seasons, because it builds the side story of the Ramsay and stuff like that. Yeah, but I know, right? Yeah. Another one. But so I kind of get at that point now, but at first I kind of didn't understand, like, because I mean there was no battle to take Winterfell. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like this big old thing. Like, it was kind of like, because everyone else was trying to go fight your House Banner's war.
That's right. They better. We own them, damn it. Penis. And you get some other like big key moments within season 2. Jon meets Ygritte. Joffrey is in charge. And he like, I remember like one specific moment where he orders the people in this crowd that he's walking through to be killed.
Oh my God. Now you're reminding me of
and that's a big moment between him and his mom, because his mom, Tyrion's kind of involved in it.
Oh, dude, I love when dude beast mode, Tyrion smacking the shit out. Yeah. Did my hand fall off?
Yeah. That's like a huge moment, because it's like you assaulted the king, but it's also your nephew.
But he's not the king, though.
I know. There's another moment within season 2 when Cersei does the same thing, where she slaps Joffrey in front of his whole court, essentially, in the throne room. And he tells her, like, I could have you killed for that. And she's terrified at that point. Like, she's all, like, standing up to him because he's mouthing off. She smacks him. She feels powerful. But in that same instance, she realized, like, she messed up big time. He could have her murdered, but he chooses not to.
I think, like, okay, let's get this straight. Obviously, everyone knows from watching the show. I mean, you could tell from the beginning anyways. Cersei loves her children.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
But with the whole Joffrey thing, like, again, now you're bringing up so many points that I'm remembering, season 2. But I think, like, yes, she loved her children, but when it came to Joffrey, it wasn't even so much about Joffrey as much. She cared more about her power in the long run.
Yeah.
Like, remember, so because Joffrey didn't have a queen, she's queen regent.
Correct.
So she's acting queen.
Correct. Yeah.
So she has just as much power in a sense as far as like the King's Guard, the white cloak, gold cloaks, and she has just as much powers of the kingdom as Joffrey does. Yeah. So if Joffrey's in absence or whatever he's doing, shooting animals, basically into, I thought about this this is a good point. Yeah. Joffrey's a modern day serial killer.
Oh, for sure.
Like
100%.
Like if you actually think about it, like his obsession with killing animals, like and like torturing and stuff like that, like, and when Tyrion sent the hookers to his room,
and he beats them, and
he doesn't beat him. He just wants to watch one get beaten. I'm like, true, you would definitely turn out to be a serial killer.
Absolutely.
But continue.
Yeah. So other key like stuff we get, we're introduced to Podrick, aka Sex God Pod. I remember
that's a rap name if I've ever heard one.
When it was live, like when the show was current, he had a nickname on the internet, Sex God Pod. So that's like,
really? I did not. I gotta look this up.
Yeah. So I always refer to him as Sex God Pod.
Sex God Pod. I'm gonna see if this is a real thing. Hold on, fact checking this right here. We have useless fact checks. We don't have like real fact checks. Correct. The first thing that comes up, Game of Thrones season 8. How did Pod become this? He's not lying. Pod the God is what they call him. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we got a couple other really big ones.
No pun intended. We got a couple other big ones for you.
When Tyrion gives away one of Cersei's daughters to...
Oh, and she totally loses her shit.
She loses her shit. And
to Dorne? To Dorne, yeah.
And she says...
got a good point on that one.
She says, I'll have your heart for this. A day will come when you think you're safe and happy, and your joy will be torn to... Or your joy will be torn to ash in your mouth.
No, he could write, but he cannot read.
I can't read my own writing. So yeah, and we had
again. I told you.
We're one drink deep.
He sent me a picture. I zoomed in. I couldn't even read. Pinch and zoom, man.
And she says, "You will know the debt is paid." And Tyrion just kind of sits there, and he's like,
"Whatever."
I mean, because we as the audience know that he's got his little hooker on the side that he's in love with. Shay,
that's the one he
big
loves.
Important character.
That leads you to the point where he said and she captures Rose.
Yes. So that's a big moment for both their characters, for Cersei, for Tyrion, because Tyrion's got his secret, and we have Cersei, whose daughter has been given away without her permission, without her consent, pretty much without her knowledge too. And that develops that whole like deeper hatred for her brother. And as we all know, like they said it in season 1, they say it a couple of seasons actually, that Tyrion's like the runt of the family. He was like the unexpected kid. He was the one that was born disfigured, deformed. And then of course when he was born, he's blamed for killing their mom because she died in labor.
He wasn't disfigured,
no,
though.
He's not.
I mean, but
that's how they describe it.
Oh no, absolutely. Like the whole door thing. Like,
yeah.
First of all, I mean, I guess not that. I was gonna say if I was like 9 inches short, I'd be a dwarf. I still think of myself as a dwarf now. Maybe that's why I love Tyrion so much.
So like, short. It plays on that like dynamic between brother and sister hatred, of why she continues to hate him, and then of his character being like diminished by the family even more, and him still trying to find like his bearings, because he's got this big title of Hand of the King, so he's kind of like flexing that muscle and like, I can kind of do whatever I want. I'm from this powerful family with this wealthy family. We're our family's finally in control of the Seven Kingdoms. Well, I mean they were with Robert Baratheon kind of in a way, but they are more so now because it's their last name essentially up on the banner. That like plays into that whole aspect of it, which I think is really interesting. And like going off of all this, do you want me to get to my favorite moment, my favorite episode of season 2? Because I'm ready for it if you are.
Yes.
I'm ready already. So my favorite moment, my favorite part, I would guess, actually I would even say like my favorite episode of season 2, it's probably everyone's obvious one, the Battle of Blackwater Bay.
That was what do they call that? Dragon's Breath? No, Dragon's
Fire.
Dragon's Fire. That's right.
I mean, Wildfire.
Yes. Wildfire.
I know. I think I called it Dragon's Fire when I rewatched it.
But I think
it's a wildfire.
But I think they came up with that because I mean, from what some of the maester, I forget the maester that was working on it, but because he didn't have a significant role. I think he was only in it for a couple episodes, and not even big talking parts. When I say a couple episodes, I mean like he was in one, like 2 minutes, and then another minute.
Yeah.
But they created Wildfire
to mimic Dragonfire.
Yeah, they
essentially.
Yeah, that's what it was about.
And like you get like before that, you get this whole buildup of like Stannis Baratheon thinking he's the rightful heir to the throne.
First of all, he was the rightful heir. If on technicality, he was a rightful heir.
Okay.
Because Joffrey's an incest baby.
Correct. So
and I'll tell you for a fact the reason why Stannis is the actual rightful heir. Because I'm reading Fire and Blood.
He's reading
and I know so the way they describe how heirs work.
Yeah.
Legitimately, Stannis would be because a bastard, unless he was made a lord, a bastard, Norrin, like you have to be a completely rightful heir, and you can't be a woman.
Okay.
So if you don't have a son, your daughter can't be in succession, and your bastard can't be in succession. So it goes automatically to the second oldest.
Okay.
So it'd be So first of all, for those of you who think Stannis had no business, no, Stannis had every business. I'm not saying I agreed with it.
Yeah.
But he had every business being he was technically the rightful heir.
Yeah. So you have all this buildup of like him coming. He's gonna mess everything up. He's gonna take the throne, which he believes is his. He's got the Red Witch. He's got the Lord of Light on his side. Supposedly she had that demon baby that killed the dude, Stannis' brother.
Oh yeah,
Renly,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She got pounded by Stannis, and then
they
instead
had
of
demon shadow baby.
Shadow baby. Yeah, I like that. Well, she had a shadow baby.
Shadow baby, smoke baby. I like shadow baby best.
Shadow baby to kill Renly.
Yeah, to kill Renly.
Which I know they talked about Renly being king or whatever. Yeah. And he wasn't the rightful heir technically, but I kind of,
sided with him.
I mean, he was a little weird. And his queen reminds me of the ant from Ants. The princess.
The princess reminds you of the ant from the movie Ants.
No, not the ant. She reminds me of okay, remember the queen of Ants. Not the queen, but the princess.
You're talking about the movie,
Ants.
the cartoon movie Ants.
Can't
A-N-T-Z.
Because her eyes, yeah.
It's like that whole buildup of like, they're coming, they're going to destroy everything. They have the Red Witch. They have the Lord of Light on their side. They have this army of boats, ships, whatever.
And it's where I thought one of my favorite characters died.
Who?
Davos.
He doesn't die. Oh, you thought he died?
Yes, you do.
Because he didn't die.
No, but you remember, you don't see him.
He's
for like
on
2
the
episodes.
boat. Him and his son get blown up. Yeah. So you got all this coming, and then you got Wildfire just blowing everything up within the first couple minutes of this giant battle. Like there's a lot in this episode that happens specifically.
There is.
Like it blows up. There's fire on the water, which is like, that's not how fire works, but that is how fire works.
You know what? I'm going to sidetrack you real quick. You hold that thought because we were talking about that scene.
Yes.
And you'll probably touch on somewhat of it. But the Hound.
The Hound.
Which, by the way, let me say, I actually I told, now see, I didn't tell you I was watching Game of Thrones, but I told one of the guys I worked with, I was like, hey, I can't help but think the Hound is someone I'm going to grow to love.
Yes.
Like it's like even from the first episode when you die, I was like, there's something about him that I think like he's going to be in this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how long. Remember, I was going into a blind first time seeing it, but there was something where I was like, I think he's going to be it. Anyways, there's this particular scene that you're talking about, about that battle of Blackwater.
Yeah.
Do you remember when he goes out, swings his sword, cuts the guy in half?
That's what I'm getting at.
Oh, really?
Go for it, though.
No.
Your take first.
It's not a take. It's a sidetrack note.
Yeah.
That's particular scene.
Yeah.
When he cuts the guy in half, because the guy just went like, and like folded it. Like it kind of looked like if you took like a Oreo cookie or like or like one of those and just went.
Yeah.
It didn't even look natural. Like the guy's body in half didn't.
When we rewatched,
he just went like this.
Yeah, when I rewatched it, like I think I rewound that part because I was like, "This is just it's camp, is what it's like, hella campy." So I rewound it and I had to rewatch it a second time. So like we get that the big moment is like essentially after that when he goes out on the battlefield because
okay, go ahead.
Because Stannis' forces they're not completely dead yet. Like a bunch of their ships get blown up, and then they get to shore and they fight this battle. And Joffrey, like, Battle of Blackwater. Joffrey tucks his tail between his legs. He goes and runs and hides. Cersei's in the dungeon getting drunk, like, essentially.
And about to off Tommen.
Yeah.
By the way, the little kid is Tommen, which. Yeah. They don't explain the years as they go by in Game of Thrones very well.
She's, like, getting drunk in the dungeons with, like, all the other, like, handmaids or whatever. And Sansa's there. And she's, like, telling her, like, nah, whatever, we're fine. And she's getting trashed because she knows, like, we're going to lose right now. Like, this is not going in our favor. And Tyrion picks up the axe. Oh, no, wait. I'm sorry. Let me pause real quick because let's go back like a couple seconds before that happens because Clegane is out there and he's like on the battlefield on the front
Which is one of the scenes I was talking about.
Yes, we're getting there. And we get this moment with him on the battlefield. He's killing dudes. And then he looks over and he sees this dude on fire.
Oh, and he has that moment, that pivotal, moment, like freezing.
That horrific moment where he's like, the fire, like, burned my face. I'm afraid of fire. I'm this giant, like, menace. I can kill anyone, do anything, whatever. And he locks up. And I think I don't think he falls, but he just locks up. And he almost dies. But then Bronn saves him with the bow and arrow.
Which is weird because I remember they had this little fight before the battle
rings. They did in the whorehouse. Yeah.
So which like, now you're reminding me. Okay,
so he like saves him, and then Clegane is shook after that. He's like, I can't do this, essentially. And then he goes back into the little tower, and he goes up to Tyrion.
Get out there and fight.
Yeah, and Joffrey's like, get out there, lead my charge, blah, blah, blah. And he has this really great moment.
But did you write down both lines? Because there's 2 lines he says. And I only
three lines.
There's 3 lines. Okay, I remember the one.
Okay. So there's 3 lines, and because Joffrey's like, go out there, you have to do it for the city. You have to do it like for the kingdom. And Clegane goes, Mom, I'm sorry if we're watching this. Don't watch this. He goes, fuck the Kingsguard, fuck the city, and
he's like, fuck the king.
Yes. And then he just dips.
Like that too. I think I did a pretty good accent there.
You did a great job. And then he just dips after that.
And it was funny.
It was great. It was hilarious.
I mean, I would say that's the moment I fell in love with the Hound.
Yeah.
Clegane. But I mean, like I said, he's had this aura about him.
Yeah.
That I've always known. Like for some reason, I think he's gonna be around for a while, and I think I'm gonna grow to love him. But I did in that moment. I loved him. But was there any more? Is there any more in there?
There's more in that cup. Yeah.
No, not in the cup.
Oh, in my notes.
See what happened? Maybe we've had 2. To your knowledge, we've only had 1 glass.
Correct. So there's that like giant moment, because right after that is when Tyrion.
That's a good line.
Yeah, that's a great moment, and then it's very defining of his character too, because he like never gives up, never surrenders type person, and that's it. He like saw the guy on fire, he gave up. He's like, I'm out of here, and he does. He bails, and then we get.
It was almost like that moment. Okay, wait, I'm gonna go like really old right now. Yeah. Not too old, but you know the movie Scary Movie?
Yeah.
You with the priest?
Yeah.
What's his name? Not Woody Allen? No, not Woody Allen. It's another Wood. Woods. Yeah. Woods. James Woods.
James Woods.
Remember that? Remember that scene where he's like, man, Lord, let me bless this house. And he goes, Lord, help me release this. But remember when he's like, okay, and then they bring him into the room, and she spins her head around, and he's like, oh, fuck this.
Yeah,
that part. That's what that reminds me of. I just in my mind, I'm thinking of James Woods scene.
Yeah. So we get like that moment, and that's like right after that is when, Joffrey like hightails it, and Tyrion picks up the axe. He's like, I gotta lead this charge. Like he decides upon himself he's gonna lead the charge. He kind of gets the men riled up to go out there. They go out there, and the dude gets his face cut. Pretty much what you think is in half, but he doesn't get cut in half. Like he gets cut. Podrick saves him. Is the guy to save him, which of all people is like, that's great. Podrick's dope.
Sex God Pod?
Sex God Pod saves his life.
You know what? If you could, we're just going to, for now on, it's not Podrick. It's
Sex God Pod.
Sex God Pod.
So then Daddy comes, a.k.a. Tywin, to save the day. And that's pretty much like the end of, well, of course you get the moment where Cersei's going to kill Tommen. They're sitting on the
drops the glass,
and then she drops the poison because Daddy rolls in with, the Kingsguard and all that. Daddy! To save the day. That's like the biggest moment, the biggest episode
but
for
Daddy
me.
Was reserved for Jaime. She calls Jaime Daddy.
She does?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what some of the...
That's like the biggest... For me, that's the biggest, like, my favorite episode of season 2.
Honestly, this guy did his homework. I didn't even write that many notes, to be honest.
I did quite
in fact, I think I wrote 1 tagline just to remind myself. Yeah. But you know what? I'm glad, because honestly, you reminded me of some good moments in there. Yeah. God, I want... The Man of Many Faces. Young Jamie, pull that up. What's his name, man? I mean, I know, but I want to say it right. I want to
Jakon, I think is
Jakar. I
think it's Jakon.
Man.
Oh, what's her face? She's got a big. She's got a big. We didn't touch on that at all. Arya's got like a really pivotal role in season 2. I mean, through the whole series, but season 2 is where she really starts to like develop more of herself, more of that character of her. Because she was abandoned, essentially, left to die.
Come here, boy. Come here, boy. And he cut his hair. Come here, boy.
Yeah, she escapes and like kind of tries to make it on her own. Her and Gendry.
I think that's where you develop like this real love for Arya.
Oh, for sure.
In her dance master. And I kind of like that they referred to sword fighting as dancing because sword fighting is kind of an art in general. Like, I mean, they still do it for the Olympics. What did they call it though?
Fencing.
Fencing. There you go. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't mind learning that. Okay, here it is. Jaqen Hagar. Now, I know he played a prominent role in Arya's development, especially her character development. Honestly, though, I wish he was in it a lot more. But some say there's this theory going on that Jaqen Hagar was her actual dancing teacher, one of his many faces, which would be interesting. But that brings me to, I think, one of my most pivotal moments for me, and this is just because I'm a sucker for the Targaryen history, was when Arya became Tywin's servant.
Yeah.
Or like Fetcher.
The cupbearer.
Yeah, the cupbearer or whatever.
Yeah.
There is a point in there where they have like this serious kind of conversation. And they talk about, Tywin at least talks about he cares about his legacy. That's all that matters to him. Yeah. In fact, I would almost say his kids don't matter to him unless his kids are creating kids.
Correct, yeah.
Like, it almost like I feel like, for instance, if Cersei died, he wouldn't care. Because he already had his 3 grandchildren.
His kids to keep him going.
For him,
his grandkids to keep him going, yeah.
His biggest disappointment was Jaime.
Really?
It wasn't even Tyrion.
Really?
I honestly don't think it was Tyrion at all.
Because Jaime didn't foster any children?
Exactly. Because Jaime was his first of all, his pride and joy.
Yeah.
For many reasons. Yeah. He was a Kingsguard, whatever. He didn't even want to be a Kingsguard. For him, he cared about him bearing children. Yeah. More than anything. Because he completely disregarded Tyrion. That's the only reason I say I don't think he was his biggest disappointment. Okay. Because I don't think he cared enough for him to be a disappointment. But sorry, I go on such big tangents. You know, another character probably confused about was Brienne of Tarth. Yeah. You know, her character was slowly rolling in there. Yeah. And then Robb Stark falling in love with the nurse. Yeah. And these aren't necessarily important topics just yet. Those are just kind of like topics that I think like everyone like kind of you either fell in love with the character or to build up to as you develop some love to build up to
the Red Wedding. Yeah.
The name that shall not be named.
I mean, she's not necessarily like a big character. She's important.
No, but you kind of like her.
Robb. Yeah, you like her off the bat.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially because she kind of has this like negative, the way she talks to Robb at first. Yeah, she kind of has this.
She's like, "Who are you?"
Like, essentially. Well, like she doesn't care, and then she says,
"It doesn't mean
you sound like a lady," and she's like,
yeah.
I'm not a lady. I don't care."
Yeah. Which is cool.
I'm trying to think what else. Oh, the wall. They go outside the wall.
They go outside the wall.
They find out about, and that's where Jon gets
captured.
Yeah. Which is intentional.
By captured. With the wildlings.
The wildlings, yes. And that's where you find the redhead, Ygritte. She's my first love.
Okay. Over Dany.
Dany was my second love.
Okay.
Because Ygritte died.
Okay.
So Ygritte, and I think that's where it's like, because I feel like you're rooting for Jon Snow the whole time.
Oh, for sure.
Because you feel like Catelyn Stark.
He's the sweet boy.
Catelyn Stark. She was such
Catelyn Stark, yeah.
She's such
a she's a little mean. She was cold to him.
To be honest, I didn't care.
She was cold to him.
She was cold to him.
Yeah.
And there was an interesting story. Yeah. Remember when she was talking to Robb's wife? That was a part of season 2. She was telling him about like when she was asking like the first time she made the rosary. She basically, I think what it represents. I don't know because they never talked about it, but I think what it represents is the gods.
The seven gods.
The seven gods in the new.
Whatever. Yeah.
7 gods and the old gods in the new. So I think it represents that. But she was saying how like only twice. That was her third time. One for Bran. Yeah. But she was talking about before, which was a very pivotal moment. You reminded me. Thank you. Yeah. When Jon Snow. You find out it's Jon, but it wasn't before. You didn't find, as she was telling the story, one, the kid got the pox. Remember she's saying the kid got the pox and fevers, and the maester said if he made it through the night, he'd live, but it was a long night basically. Yeah. But before that, she was talking about when when her husband Ned brought back a bastard baby from the and she was like, she just wished he died. Yeah. And then when you got the box, and she was talking about, anyways, that's when she made it, and she prayed I'd be a mother to him, and like how could she love, or she was like, how could I be mean to this motherless child when she, it's not his fault. He's just a baby.
Yeah.
She went in any ways she felt cursed ever since. But that was a pivotal moment in that I didn't pay attention to the first time around.
Yeah.
Because it was just such a slow moment. Yeah. Sometimes the long dialogue parts that don't feel like they have a story kind of get that way.
Yeah. And they end up having like a lot that you want to follow along with and unpack later on. Yeah.
But I mean, I would say like that, Bronn, another one, Knights of the Vale, when he stands up for Tyrion. Mm-hmm. Those are some big cool things. And I think Bronn is another character that it's not so much a story arc with him. Yeah. Because he's kind of the same person all the way through.
Pretty much, yeah.
He never changes. I'm trying to think even to the end. He never changes.
He's got no reason to redeem himself.
Dude, Bronn is just Bronn.
He's just Bronn.
He's just out there brawning.
Just That's another one. Just Bronnin.
Yeah, just Bronnin.
Just Bronnin.
That's a good one.
It is. I want that.
Just do it.
I want it on a shirt.
If we build this up, we really like, comment, and subscribe, guys. We need it. If we get up there and we believe we could get you guys some merch, we'll go ahead and do that for you. Yeah. Just Bronnin, though.
Just Bronnin.
I'm gonna have to write that down.
Just Bronnin.
You already got a book there.
Just big
bold letters. Just big bold. Just Bronnin. I like that one. That was a good one. Let us know if you like that one too. Other than that, is there anything else you want to touch on?
That's it, man. I mean, we recapped season 2. That was the whole...
I mean, we really, really did dive into that one. I kind of enjoyed that one.
Got into the nitty gritty.
I enjoyed that. So yeah, other than that, and again, we drank Brothers Bond. Only one on screen.
Only one on screen.
Might have been more. You just don't know. But
if you're drinking along with us, definitely drink this along with us. Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Please drink responsibly.
Yeah. Yes. So until next week, guys, this is Whiskey and Dragons, where we drink whiskey and
we talk dragons.
I'm Targaryen the Barbarian.
And I'm Steve the Wizard.
Thank you for tuning in. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. We really do appreciate it. And we'll see you next time.
Later.
Bye.